I'll call this meeting to order. Well, I put down here the September meeting, I put the wrong month on here, but you got the minutes for November
Thank you.
and June of last year. So November was our last meeting, and we didn't have the minutes for the June one, so we'll approve both of them tonight. Are there any questions or corrections that are needed? Not, we need a motion to approve.
I was feel funny making a motion to approve my own minutes. Doesn't seem right.
I'll make the motion then. Approve the June 26th meeting minutes and the November 28th meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, approved. Warren's not here, but he gave me the treasurer's report, so you have that here. We received the Town of Hortonia tax roll numbers of $2,643.75. Had expenses for the village of $22.17, and Chris Schultz for $66.44. For a total of $88.61. And we had a beginning balance in the checkbook of $5,399.49 with the income that I read in it, and the expenses of $88, leaving us a balance of $7,954.63. Let's see, in the money market, there's a beginning balance of $14,030.20. Income of $33,673.66, and expenses of $205.66, leaving a balance of, well, I guess that should have been $141 up there. A balance of $141,023.22 in the money market. We had interest of 61 and 53.94. Put back from Lee Energies of 15.71. Village of Hortonville tax roll of $21,546.14. From the town of Dale, $992.52. Another interest payment for $72.62. And another one from the village for $10,931.73, for a total of $33,673.66. We had two expenditures to We Energies for $92.57 and $113.09, for a total of $205.66. If there's any questions on there, if not, we'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial report for, what is it, December? This is through, what month, January?
Well, yeah, it would have been through January. He's got the wrong date on there.
Anyway, I will make a motion to approve these financial reports.
So this is through January, or this
Right,
is?
it's
No, okay.
he forgot to change
Okay.
the month on there. It should be January
Okay, I'll second.
31st.
Okay, I can second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. We have no old business. Resident comments. Did you want to tell us about the grant? Seeing I don't actually have you on the agenda, I thought this would be a spot for it.
It is on the agenda, isn't it?
Dash.
Should be. Well, it's not on there, but yeah, I mean, I
Doesn't
can,
matter.
No, it doesn't matter. The application deadline was February 1st. I called prior to my vacation, which was the last week in January, and it was through February 3rd. Everything was submitted, 62 pages of information submitted, signed, sealed, delivered. I wanted to follow up and make sure there was nothing missing. She said as of my call, she had reviewed it, it was good to go. She said it was very thorough and complete, including my paperwork, but also the paperwork that was supplied by the Lake District as well, as far as the maps and planning and any of their plans that they have for wheat harvesting. So it's not, like I said in the village board, it's not a slam dunk. We are waiting for a date. Once we know that date, then it's a matter of putting myself in front of the weed commissioner in Rib Mountain, and then we state our case. Why we want it, what we're looking for, why we need it, and pretty much everything. We're rehashing essentially what's in that application. So we're in a holding pattern right now. So as soon as I hear that date, I will forward it to Al and then get it to the Black Otter Lake District. So, but we are in line for the max benefit would be 35,000 and change. So
What is the timeline they normally hand it out, early May?
usually the second week in April.
That they hand the grants out?
Correct. You are told that day upon your request, you're told that day what your funds will be. They actually stamp it, seal it, deliver it, and then you can take delivery or shipment on your second part of your harvester. So,
Yeah, because we gotta set up for May to be delivered.
Correct. I had thought it was May. She had informed me that it was the second week in April.
Okay,
So hopefully we don't have a snowstorm like last year.
yeah. Any questions for Dave on the grant? Then we'll move to new business, ice rink donations. This was something that David had asked of me a couple months ago.
Correct.
It was after, about the time of our last meeting, and didn't have it on the agenda. So.
Yeah, we had it ordered by November. Costs ran a little higher than we expected. They were paid for to the tune of $3,100. We had some money left over in Park and Rec. Something that we thought would be advantageous with ice conditions recently. We never knew what the lake would provide. So we wanted to provide a safe alternative, and then also what I call an amenity to the park system. So we bought a very functional ice skating rink. It's been up since late November, early December. Mother Nature didn't work out early in the year, but it's up and running, and actually got a lot of use out of it. The village also installed a light that off of the shelter in Alonzo Park. And then we've had portable restrooms that were donated also for the facility. So it's been taken and used very well so far to date. With the extended cold weather here, it's actually maintained itself very well. Once it's up and running, it functions and it's easy to maintain. So the guys have had no issues with it. This is a ice skating rink that is up and down. I worked with one in Delafield, the city of Delafield, when I was there for my tenure. Something that with proper maintenance can last years. We do allocate money, and Carl and I already built it into the budget for next year. If we would have to buy a new liner, we're hoping that not, because these liners it's a rigid plastic membrane. They actually can be, it's like an inner tube, so you can actually patch them if you need to. But I think the one in Delafield, you get the first one, they won 6 or 7 years with the first liner. So it should be sustainable for every year's use for quite a while with proper maintenance. I solicited to the Lake District, obviously, because they have direct correlation to it. It's a safe alternative rather than the lake, so I thought maybe that would be something that in the interest. There's no dollar value attached to the grant. We're just looking for any donations to help offset. We also heard back from the, I think it was the Lions Club. No, not Lions Club. It was the. I have to check my notes, but there was two other potential donors. What's that? American Legion Post, yes. So I'm going to see them on March 9th. I'm going to be in front of them, so they also asked for that information. Legion Post, so nothing in the works. It's just whatever. If the lake wanted to make a donation, that would be recognized in front of the village board, and then also with potentially next year we put up signage brought to you by, or a little late this year, but we definitely make note that this is paid for in part by so and so. becomes the Lake District and then also the American Legion Post. So
What does a liner cost if that has to be replaced?
approximately $600.
Okay.
The entire package was $3,100, and that also came with maintenance equipment, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to, some of the heads and fixtures that they can put onto like a regular garden hose,
Mm-hmm.
it actually turns into like a man-made Zamboni, so they can drag it and it fills in all the ice and it smooths it back out. So
Okay.
if you ever have imperfections in the ice, so the guys did a good job. They actually overfilled a little bit this year, so I think their first year, you just got a little, you gotta take it in baby steps. They filled it right up to the top with water, where then it took a while to freeze. Where you gotta go in 3-inch increments and then
Mm-hmm.
start slow. So they played the slush game for a little while, but learning curve.
And I had talked to Warren about it, and he said he'd be comfortable with about $500 for us to donate. Any comments from the rest of you?
Can you refresh our memories, as far as how much is going for the harvester and what expenses we're looking at? 500 doesn't seem like a lot to me, I don't know.
Well,
We
I
have-
know we had discussed at the last meeting about the possibility of using the money from that grant to the village to help with a cold storage
Okay,
over
right,
by the
that's right.
treatment plant.
Mhm.
It honestly, Pat, that's in the best interest. If I think a lot of the decay of the last harvester is because it sat out in the sun 24/7.
Oh, I agree. I was just looking at, you
Yep.
know, 500 doesn't seem like a lot given our balance, but I couldn't remember what
Right,
other things
right.
we were looking at.
Well,
So I just,
if the board wants to give more, we can. I was just giving you what, my discussions with Warren,
mhm.
and he thought 500 would be, I don't know.
I'm new to this, so maybe you're better to speak to that.
You what?
I said I'm newer to this, so
Oh.
maybe you're better to speak to this.
No, I mean, quite honestly, when I first heard this, I didn't really see the connection that much, but now that you've pointed out that if it keeps people from skating on the lake and possibly, you know, there being an injury
Or having a
worse.
72-year-old guy fall through,
Mhm.
like we
Did
did
that
quite a few
happen?
years ago.
Oh, really? With
Oh, yeah.
skating?
We had a guy that was in his 70s that used to, on first ice, go out there and skate. And then one year he got out there just a tad early.
Uh-huh. Oh,
We
boy.
can
Yeah, so
never-
now I can see it.
We can never over preach it doesn't matter. Like Al said, the first ice, somebody's gonna be on it.
Mhm.
So this year with the snow cover, it would have been nearly impossible for them or for the village to maintain the ice for anybody to skate on. You know, there's a foot and a half of snow on that ice right now, so.
You know, it was even mid-January before we put the fence up around the aerator,
Correct.
and it was still only about 4 or 5 inches of ice.
Yeah, it came late.
Yeah, it's just a safer alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Lessens the exposure for anybody.
Sounds good. So I don't know, if you guys talked about 500, I think that's fine.
And we would need a motion to approve that.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor of the donation of $500 to the ice rink, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Now, the next one on here for the Lakes Convention, I forgot to bring my lake tides along to see when it is, but in the past, we've paid for anybody that wanted to go to Lake Convention for the cost of the convention and the expenses to get back and forth. So we would need a motion if we're going to do that again this year. To cover the expenses for the lake convention for anyone that wanted to go.
What does it
I'm not sure it's
cost?
in, I forgot to bring it along, it's like about $200 to register for there, and then the mileage back and forth, and it's about 60 miles one way.
To,
Seaver's Point.
oh,
Just a one day? Is it a one-day convention or?
No, it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
It's in about mid-April sometime. like I said, I forgot my lake, lake tides.
Is there any requirements, Al? Is it something that has to be done by somebody of the Lake Association? Do you need an annual participant in it?
I've been going for years, and
Okay.
it's something where you usually learn something every year as a lake management people. Last year was kind of one of the worst ones I've been to, because I probably learned the least amount, but I still learned something,
You already know everything.
but not everything.
We'll ask Caroline.
No, she'll say I don't know anything. But I know I'd like to go again this year, and part of it is with what is on D, so I could talk to people to see if there's any alternatives to dash and chemicals, but
I was just wondering if last year's expenses were, where were they?
Has anybody else ever gone besides you, or, I mean, with you?
well, last year Carl went with me one day.
Mm-hmm.
He's been the only one that's actually gone with me up there. I know there have been some others in the interim that I wasn't on the board that went up there. Bill Curtis used to go.
We had $750 in the budget for training. Was it under training?
Probably.
I think it was. Okay, so we paid $245
Yeah.
to UW, and we paid, looks like 64 or something for, maybe for
That
mileage.
was probably mileage, yeah.
Yeah, because I only had one day that I went. I rode with Carl with the village vehicle the day that the two of us went.
So we wanna, do we need to put like a dollar amount in, a max cost or something?
I don't know, we haven't in the past because we didn't,
No,
never
we-
knew how many were going, if
Oh,
it
okay,
just me or if somebody else wanted to go, or,
okay, so we want a motion to, then just that we would pay for, how would we state that?
expenses for the lake convention.
For who though, I was thinking, just
Hmm?
officers or anybody or
Well, usually it's just board members.
board members, okay.
Is it something that someone from the village should go, or would be beneficial for somebody from Public Works to attend? I don't know. But village would cover that expense, or how does that work?
That's what I was gonna say, is it's worthwhile to run past Carl, especially if there's gonna be some significant,
Yeah, I think Carl was kind
applications
of
to the lake this
I
year.
think Carl was kind of disillusioned last year too. There were, well, like I said, last year was probably one of the worst ones I've been to, but as far as information handed out, because they got too specific. Like we had one that sounded good on paper for all of them, but then when you got in there, they were just talking about carp. Okay, that doesn't help for us.
Right.
Even though I see somebody caught a carp this winter.
Yeah. I thought it was a catfish.
Oh, yeah, it was-
We can look at it, Pat, and if we feel it's something with topics that are on the agenda, you know, I would definitely tell Carl you should attend with Al. I mean, that, we have to, moving forward, we need to look at that lake as an attribute to the village as well. You know, that's always named as one of the top resources to the village, you know, people, oh, the lake and the school system, so, you know, and then park system, so we need to keep tabs on it, so if they determine that, you know, might be, some of the topics might be good for Carl, I think we just send them over, you know, so be it.
Okay.
yeah, and I can bring in the lake tides, we can
Okay.
look it over and
Please.
see what the topics are. They might even have it online by now,
Sure.
what everything is, so. So you got the motion down, or?
Right, so, I will make a motion to approve attendance with registration and mileage reimbursement at the lake convention this spring.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Now we get to the dash, and that's why I asked Al to come here to tell us about the challenges that we had last year and what he thinks we should, if we should be doing more this year, or?
Well, you had wanted us to come in for, I don't know how many days, 10 days, whatever, to use the dash machine to pull the weeds out of the lake. And there were designated areas that we were going to pull them from, and we got there, being the spring was as bad as it was, everything was backed up a little bit. So we got into the first day, and we were well past what we were gonna be able to do with that machine. So we decided to instead of spending your money, pull back. Let Al know that just what we were doing wasn't going to be good wasn't going to be beneficial for the lake, what we were gonna do. So then Al got a hold of Matt from
Lake and Pond Solutions.
Lake and Pond Solutions, and he must have went back out there and looked at it again,
Yeah.
gave us another target area. And we went back out there for another 3 days, and by that time it was middle of June, and we were well into our other schedule. We had you on the schedule to begin our year, and because of the spring we got backed up, and then by the time we got back in there, because of the backup with Al and or Matt, our calendar filled up. So we decided that we weren't going to be doing much, I don't know how to put it. We could have got in there and pulled weeds every day for the whole summer, and I don't know that we would have done much good. Where we do pull, I mean, we'll go down a channel, and that's clear of the weeds that are in there, but there's a lot of them, and I don't know that Dash is going to be able to do much of a dent in that lake unless we simply concentrate by the boat launch between the land and the island, and then maybe we started over by closer to the dam last year.
That's where you started, and that's where you ran into your problems being so thick.
So I think if we could get in there earlier, look, you've got the curly leaf that comes up in the fall actually, and then we could get in there early and clean some of that up, and then when the milfoil starts to come up when the water temperature gets warmer, and get ahead of it before the other weeds show up and it really gets out of hand, I think we could do a better job depending on the spring.
So you think it would be beneficial if you can get in early?
Yes.
What's
Well,
early?
I think it all depends on water temperature,
Okay.
and it's not a calendar date. It's a weather related thing. So that's what we wanted. We were all set last year to do that. As soon as that water warmed up and we were ready to go, we were going to go, and then that snowstorm came and it just blew us out of the water.
Yeah.
So I can't give you a date.
Okay.
so
What's the water
we
temperature?
did leave in the budget the $20,000 for that do we wanna contract with it, Al and his company to come in again?
So, what I recall from hearing you say last fall or whenever you were here was that the problem was that you were pulling the non-invasives with the invasives, right?
There was a lot of them.
Yeah, that's what you
So-
told me, that there was so many native plants around that you were having problems with.
You know.
So, you're saying if we could time it right, you could get in there before the native weeds are.
And that's the way, well, curly leaf and Eurasian milfoil, they get a head start on all the other plants. So we get in there after they come up, before the native plants come up, and then we could do a better job.
The first area that we were targeting in the spring,
Mhm.
that's where we were running into all the native plants. The second area that Matt had given us, that was, by far the majority of that was Eurasian milfoil. And that's why we had talked to Al and, just decided to get a different area.
So we wanna put out for the contract to Al and his dash program, or? 'Cause we did budget for it, so.
And if we miss the window, there's no point to it, is that what you're saying? If we miss that window like this past year? Or am I misunderstanding?
If we look at the same areas that you were targeting last year, if you miss that window, it really doesn't pay to do that, but with having Matt doing a point survey, maybe we'll have areas
Now, if you
like
just,
you had when you came back.
no, he will direct us then to where the concentration of the weeds are. And we can concentrate then on going to those areas.
And it's mainly these two that are the worst of the milfoil and the,
Yes, no,
Yeah.
absolutely.
okay.
Those are the invasive species.
Mhm, mhm.
Is this service, how does it complement the weed harvester that's being purchased? Is this, you're pulling these weeds, so is this a deeper, more of a preventative approach, or, I guess I just need, I know what dash means, but,
We actually eradicate the whole plant from the bottom of the lake.
okay,
Where
so
the-
we're not just cutting the top off,
Right.
okay.
And we go from the root ball, from the whole lake goes, or the whole plant goes up into the,
Okay,
we take a whole
so that
thing.
20,000, that includes the hauling and removal of that plant material as well?
It will for you. We're changing our billing this year, but we're gonna leave it that way for you.
How do you get rid of that, so it doesn't reseed? What do you do?
We have, what's the name of that gold, have you ever seen the Alaskan gold sucker, what do they call it? I don't watch it.
It shows it Bering Sea Gold or Gold Rush. They've got the machines. It's basically a gold dredge. So there's a 6-inch suction hose. The diver's down there. There's a pump and compressor on board. Pumps air down, and then it creates a suction in that hose. So you find the plants, you sweep it into the hose, dig the root ball out, and it all goes up the hose into a onion bag. And the guy on top, when the onion bag gets full, moves the chute over, grabs the onion bag, and then we haul it up to, Al, you can explain that better.
You usually bring it up onto, by the boat landing.
We
And
bring
it's
it-
disposed of there, from there up to our compost area,
We haul it up to the compost area.
yeah.
Is it composted with everything though? Does it, I just was curious, it's,
Well, whatever they have in the bag gets dumped up in the compost area, yeah.
Is that the same place your machine goes? That's where you put that? Yeah.
Yeah, it all goes to the same place.
okay, this is a dumb question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. So you put it in the compost, somebody takes the compost and puts it in their lake shore property? Is there any risk?
Well,
I mean,
not,
we
not
don't
really,
put
cause
in,
it's all decomposed up there, and I don't know if anybody has ever taken any other, maybe the villages had some, but
Not last year, not that I was aware of.
because we don't put invasives at the nature center, we don't put them in the compost, because it would, they'd
These-
receive, but those are
What-
land, you
yeah,
know, that's
those are
not.
land ones, this
Right,
is
but I
water.
just, if
So,
there was
you
any
know,
danger
once
in
it's been
that.
composted up there, and if you, if you went up there and grabbed some and put it on your property, it, that wouldn't,
Yeah, there's no seeds. The plant reproduces by fragmenting,
Okay,
so if you were to go out there and break it in two and let this piece float away, you created another plant.
okay,
So there's no seed or anything, residual that's gonna reproduce from the plant.
once it's composted, you no longer have those pieces that be floating away, it's just dirt.
okay.
Cause it doesn't take long for them to turn to dirt.
No, those aquatic, when you pull them out, they shrivel to nothing so quickly, it just amazes me. Get dehydrated and turn into ash practically.
Mhm. So we'll need a motion if we're going to do the dash again this year.
What kind of coverage is that for that investment, what kind of area are you clearing?
Well, last year we had it set up for 10 acres, but you weren't able to get that much, so.
Yeah, we hope to do a half an acre a day,
Okay,
but that depends on a whole bunch of variables. That would be the rule of thumb.
okay. Black Otter is 75 acres in total, correct?
Well, the main lake is 60, the other 15 is the other side of the
Okay.
railroad bridge,
Railroad trestle. All right.
which is mostly swamp now, not much lake.
And if you're able to do this, how often do you recommend a project like that, a clearing? What do you think with the requirements of Black Otter? I mean, when would be the next time you'd recommend coming back and doing another removal? Depending on growth, is it depending on conditions? I mean, are we gonna help this by cutting and maintaining a cut with a weed cutter or weed harvester and a proper program, or?
Well, the cutter, you're cutting the plants instead of pulling them,
Correct.
so that's gonna spread the weeds
Even more,
even more.
okay,
But when we go in and we clear a path with the dashboard, then it's clear. Now, if the plants go back in there, then they go back in there.
okay.
So, for us to do 60 acres, I mean, that's way out of our territory.
Right, okay.
Yeah, you'd be there all summer for that,
Mm.
to do the whole 60.
But if you do 10, do you see a extended period of time that would be okay, or is it gonna spread right away back into that 10?
The first year we were here, we did between the shore and the island, and we came in the spring, then we came later on was it the fall or late summer, and we could certainly tell where we were.
Okay.
I mean, those plants it was clear,
Mhm,
and then we kept going from what we did, so it does make a difference.
mhm. Is there anything that can be replaced where those invasives are removed? Do the natives tend to grow then, or not, or
Yeah,
is there any,
I would think.
okay, I was just,
Mm.
Yeah, I know that's one thing Mary Gansberg had asked me, after you do this, what were we going to replace it with? But, we've got enough natives out there that could fill in there that,
And with the weed survey, I mean, we were gonna kind of check those areas from year before last or whatever to see how they looked, right?
yeah, but, seeing we've only done that every other year, he didn't do the one in between there, so we'll find out more
This year.
this year
Mhm.
if what they did 2 years ago
If you can still
is
tell.
still
Mm.
doing well. do the dash again this year? My recommendation is if he can get in and do it, I would say yes.
It's in the budget for the same amount, right?
Right. But I was, you know, what is it, 22.5?
22.5.
You know, we left in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we should give it another year and see how it goes, depending on, like you say, the weather. Hopefully it would be more successful.
That was bad.
That would
I
be,
agree. All the way around.
Well, I think with Matt, if Matt comes in and shows, it shows you where the huge problem areas are, and then you can tell us where you want us to work, if it's the boat launch, if it's between the island, you know, and,
That's something too, I can get with Matt and have him send it to you, so you, and what his recommendations would be.
Yep.
So,
you know. Yeah, and he know, I
then you
mean,
would have it directly, rather than send it to me, to you,
yeah. Yeah, I work with Matt quite a bit, and, actually bought the machine from him. So he did the Dash program before I did, so he knows about it. He knows what it's all about, so he can recommend.
I'll make the motion to do the dash again this year with a $20,000 budget.
20 or 22.5?
We'll put the 20 on there, and then if something else comes up that he has to add a little more in there, we got the 2,500 to cover that.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now, the next one I put on there is more for an information thing for, I said earlier with the Lakes Convention, it's something I wanna talk to people at the convention to see if there is something else. I've heard about beetles and stuff for the Eurasian milfoil and that. I don't know if they work or.
DNR won't let
It's
them
been
in.
a couple years since.
DNR won't let the beetles in.
Oh, that, cause I know a couple years ago when they were talking about it, that they were in favor of it then.
No. And I think not.
Well,
And then they had, yeah, there's that, and then there's, there's the chemicals that you can use, there's the matting that you can put down. It kills everything. Keep the sunlight from it. What else can they do? Options for milfoil.
No, that's, I think about it.
Yeah. I mean, the chemicals are gonna wipe it out, but the DNR is moving away from that also.
well, that's the thing, I know some lakes have been doing chemicals for 15 years or more and they still haven't taken care of their problems. So.
Yep. And some are good, and no doubt about it, that they'll go in and get rid of the milfoil, and then the next year, the year after, then they'll end up with little patches again. You know, and that's kind of our niche, is what we'll do, we'll come in and pull that kind of stuff, but I got there the first time for a reason, and it's gonna come back, and most lakes we find are around the boat launches, where the boats come in and out, where they drag it from lake to lake to lake,
Mm-hmm.
and it spreads from there, the boats spread out through the lake.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's why when we had our invasive species grant that was supposed to be part of it to monitor boats. Well, they put up a camera for that and that was a waste of time. The way they put up the camera, well, they never put it up. I was the first one to put it up after I got on here. I had over 6,000 pictures that summer and not one of them was a boat that was stopped to clean it up. Because once they hooked the boat up, got back in their vehicle and pulled out, you no longer saw the vehicle or the boat. So,
Yeah.
well, the camera didn't do anything. But anyways, that was just what I was put it on there just to inform the board of something I wanted to look at the Lakes Convention to see what's out there and,
And if they have
What
any,
they're-
oh, I'm sorry,
go ahead.
if they have anything too, like we talked about before for Lakeshore property, if there was anything that we could encourage Lakeshore
Well,
property
that's,
to
one
use
thing
at the
I-
convention, to more information.
that's one thing I wanted to talk to them too, like, we've got a big problem by Veterans Park where people wanna fish, but there's just all those weeds along there, and I wanted to ask them too about putting that matting down along there that, so they can, people can actually throw their line out and fish it. Rather than have to drag them through all kinds of weeds from shoreline 6 feet out. But, you know, that would, the matting stuff would work good for something like that.
I don't know if that requires a permit.
I'm not sure, that's, you know, I have to talk to them, see what they say, but I would think our DNR would wanna have, make you permit for everything. Last on here was a plaque. Mark Voigt was getting a plaque for the kayak launch for all the donations. He said he was going last Wednesday to check on how much it would cost and that, and he never got back to me. I even tried a couple times a day and never didn't get a hold of him. He was estimating between $500 and $1,000 that it would be.
Is,
That's it.
where would it be posted on? Is there something to post it on, or do you?
Well, I was
do
talking
that
with
too?
Carl about that. He said there was a possibility, they've got that big, the village has that big sign
Wow.
there, and they said it was a possibility we could attach it to that. Or we could look at other alternatives for a place to put it too.
There's a
But
lot
Carl
of
said
signs
that.
down there already.
Yeah,
I mean, on the kayak launch, it just seems like there's a lot of signs, right?
well,
Telling people
it
where
wouldn't be on the,
where would it be then? Off to the left, as you're facing it, kind of?
you've been down in Blackwater and
Yeah.
you see that big
Yeah.
one the village has there? He said he
Okay.
could put it up. Carl said there was a possibility of putting it on there.
Okay.
But he said he wants to look at doing some other stuff for that sign also that,
Mhm.
but he said it's starting, they had a picture of the lake on there and that, and he said that's starting to get pretty worn and that. He wants to look at some alternatives on that too, but that would, he said that would be a place that would be a possibility that we could put it on. But what Mark is looking for is a metal sign with all of them on there, but to be one that would be non-corrosive type of sign, you know, a brass or something like, you know, something that wouldn't get covered with rust and stuff. That he was working with a company out of Green Bay. If Carl was here, he'd know the name of it, and I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember what it was.
The tech ed department at the school, I'm trying to think of what they call Polar Bear Enterprise. They do signs. And it might be worth checking with them to see if we could get, you know, that might be a nice thing for them to do, and it would be less money, I would assume, too.
You know somebody over here to talk to, or
I could find out.
we could do
Do-
that?
Okay. Yeah, I don't, should I talk to Carl about that, or Mark, or?
Well, find out who it is and
Okay.
maybe talk to Mark and let him know about it, and
Okay, I'll try to find out.
who to contact to talk to. See, Mark has the whole list of contributors and
Because 'cause they like to do it for the experience for the kids,
Mhm.
to get the experience, and then they charge you for materials, from what I understand. So, might be a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice idea.
Yeah, he's been wanting to do it for a few years, but we could never find out if BMO Harris had come through with their donation or not. And I finally found out this year that they did, so that's why he was moving forward with it. Cause he wanted to make sure one way or the other before he actually did it. I mean, he was a member of the board when he first proposed this plaque, and that's been a couple of years, so. Do we have any other topic for future meetings? Hearing none, we're open for adjournment. I will move to adjourn, seeing nobody else is.
I'll second.
Do we have a second?
That's second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned.
You have the camera, Nate?